Imagine a stretch of rugged coastline where the desert meets the sea. Ships pass silently in the distance, navigating some of the world's most vital maritime routes. This is Somaliland, a name unfamiliar to many, but a place that could soon shape the destiny of nations far beyond its borders. For years, Somaliland existed in the shadows, unrecognized yet quietly stable. Its story rarely made international headlines. But beneath this surface lies a region at the crossroads of global ambition, where the interests of powerful nations are converging. As the world's attention turns toward the Horn of Africa, a new contest is beginning to unfold. In the coming moments, we'll uncover the silent struggle for influence, power, and strategic advantage in a place that has long been overlooked, but can no longer be ignored. While the world's superpowers jostle for influence, Somaliland has quietly charted its own course. Unrecognized by most nations, it might seem isolated, but look closer, and you'll see a remarkable story of resilience and self-determination. In the early 1990s, as Somalia descended into chaos, Somaliland declared its independence. Against the odds, it built functioning government institutions, held democratic elections, and maintained a level of stability rare in the region. Its capital, Hargeisa, bustles with life, commerce, and hope, a stark contrast to the turbulence seen elsewhere in the Horn of Africa. Yet, Somaliland's stability hasn't brought global recognition. Instead, it has lived in a diplomatic gray zone, operating embassies, signing trade deals, and seeking partnerships, all while existing outside the formal international system. But this quiet rise has not gone unnoticed. As global powers look for new footholds in Africa, Somaliland's peace and strategic location are beginning to attract attention. The stage is set for a new chapter, one where Somaliland's choices could ripple far beyond its borders. But why now? Why is Somaliland, after decades in the diplomatic shadows, suddenly on the radar of global powers? The answer lies in a convergence of global trends. As East-West rivalries sharpen and shipping lanes become ever more vital, strategic locations like Somaliland transform from afterthoughts into prized assets. Across the Red Sea, instability in Yemen and shifting alliances have made the Horn of Africa even more critical for international trade and security. Meanwhile, the rise of new economic corridors, linking Africa to Asia and Europe, has turned Somaliland's ports and coastlines into valuable real estate. It's not just about location. Somaliland's proven record of stability and governance stands out in a region often plagued by unrest. For nations seeking reliable partners, Somaliland offers something unique, a functioning democratic government in a sea of uncertainty. As world powers scan the map for new alliances and opportunities, Somaliland's quiet rise is giving way to a new reality. The world is waking up to Somaliland's potential, and the competition for influence is about to begin. While headlines focus on open rivalries, much of the maneuvering around Somaliland happens away from the spotlight. In recent years, a series of discreet diplomatic visits, trade delegations, and unofficial agreements have quietly unfolded behind closed doors. International companies have begun to scout Somaliland's ports, evaluating the potential for investment and influence. Foreign advisors, often operating without fanfare, have started to appear in government ministries, offering technical assistance and building relationships. Satellite imagery reveals new construction along the coastline, expanded port facilities, improved roads, and even whispers of future military installations. These subtle moves are signals, small strategic steps that hint at bigger ambitions. Local leaders, aware of the growing interest, are carefully balancing foreign overtures with the desire to maintain autonomy and stability. As the world's attention turns to Somaliland, these quiet overtures set the stage for what's to come. The competition for influence doesn't always begin with loud announcements. It often starts with shadows and signals, as powerful nations position themselves for the battles ahead. Beneath the surface of official statements and ceremonial handshakes, Somaliland has become the site of a high-stakes diplomatic chess game. Here, embassies rarely fly their flags, but the moves are no less calculated. Envoys from Beijing and Ankara, sometimes disguised as business delegations or cultural attachés, have begun to quietly map out alliances, offering infrastructure projects, educational scholarships, and promises of future investment. But this is not a one-sided courtship. Somaliland's leaders are acutely aware of their territory's newfound leverage. Carefully, they weigh each offer, extracting concessions while avoiding entanglements that could jeopardize their autonomy. Local analysts note a subtle uptick in foreign-funded development projects, ranging from new hospitals to advanced telecommunications networks, each with strings attached. Meanwhile, whispers circulate of closed-door meetings in Hargeysa's hotels, where foreign consultants and government officials discuss everything from port security to digital governance. It's a delicate balancing act, as Somaliland seeks to attract transformative investment without becoming a pawn in a larger geopolitical struggle. This is the unseen chessboard, where every move is strategic, every gesture scrutinized, and the true stakes are hidden just out of sight. As the world's attention grows, so too does the complexity of Somaliland's diplomatic dance, setting the stage for an even deeper contest between global powers. While global powers maneuver behind closed doors, the true impact of their strategies is felt in the streets and neighborhoods of Somaliland. Here, the promises of foreign investment are not just abstract diplomatic tools. They shape daily life, aspirations, and local politics. In Hargeysa's bustling markets, shopkeepers discuss rumors of new roads and schools funded by outsiders. University students debate the merits of Chinese scholarships versus Turkish vocational programs, weighing dreams of international study against a desire to build their nation from within. Community leaders quietly question the long-term costs of accepting foreign-funded infrastructure. What strings are attached, and who truly benefits? At the port of Berbera, workers notice new equipment and unfamiliar faces, engineers and advisors whose presence hints at changes yet to come. Some see opportunity and hope, others a reason for caution. Local journalists probe for answers, piecing together the mosaic of foreign interests shaping their future. Amidst it all, Somaliland's government walks a careful line, balancing global offers with local needs. Every agreement is scrutinized by a watchful public, determined not to let outside ambitions overshadow their own hard-won stability and autonomy. In this tug of influence, Somaliland's people are not passive spectators. Their choices, voices, and resilience are quietly shaping which global powers will gain a lasting foothold, and which will be kept at arm's length. The next chapter in Somaliland's story will be written not just in foreign capitals, but in the hearts and minds of its own citizens. What if one of Africa's most overlooked territories suddenly became the center of a geopolitical contest between two major powers? What if the future of Somaliland could influence trade routes, military strategy, and diplomatic alliances stretching from the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean? Today, a quiet but significant competition is unfolding. China and Turkey, two nations with expanding global ambitions, are increasing their influence across the Horn of Africa. And Somaliland sits at the heart of this strategic equation. Why are these powers paying attention to Somaliland? What is at stake? And what could this mean for Somaliland's future? Let's explore the geopolitical forces shaping one of the most important stories in the Horn of Africa. The Horn of Africa is becoming one of the world's most strategically important regions. Located near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, one of the busiest maritime choke points on Earth, Somaliland occupies a position that many global powers cannot ignore. Every year, billions of dollars worth of goods pass through nearby shipping lanes connecting Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. For decades, Somaliland remained largely outside international headlines. Yet despite lacking widespread international recognition, Somaliland has built its own institutions, security structures, and democratic processes. Today, growing global competition is bringing renewed attention to the region. And among the countries watching closely are China and Turkey. To understand the competition, we first need to understand Somaliland's strategic value. Geography is power. Somaliland's coastline stretches along the Gulf of Aden, one of the world's most important maritime corridors. The port of Berbera has become increasingly important as regional trade expands. Berbera offers direct access to international shipping routes and serves as a gateway for trade across the Horn of Africa. For neighboring Ethiopia, one of Africa's largest economies, access to seaports remains a critical national interest. As regional infrastructure develops, Somaliland's strategic importance continues to grow. This is why policymakers, investors, and military planners increasingly discuss Somaliland when analyzing the future of the Horn of Africa. Simply put, Somaliland occupies valuable geopolitical real estate. Turkey has spent years expanding its presence across Africa. Ankara's strategy combines diplomacy, trade, development projects, and security cooperation. Turkey views the Horn of Africa as a key region connecting Africa, the Middle East, and global trade networks. Through investments and partnerships, Turkey has strengthened its influence across the region. From Ankara's perspective, stability in the Horn of Africa is essential for economic and security interests. Turkey seeks greater influence in maritime trade, regional diplomacy, and strategic infrastructure. As the geopolitical significance of Somaliland grows, Turkish policymakers are paying close attention to developments in the territory. Whether through diplomacy, economic engagement, or regional partnerships, Turkey wants to remain an important player in shaping the future of the Horn of Africa. China's approach is different but equally significant. Over the last 2 decades, Beijing has dramatically expanded its presence across Africa. Infrastructure projects, trade agreements, investment programs, and diplomatic initiatives have become key tools of Chinese influence. The Horn of Africa occupies a special place in China's strategic vision. The region sits along major maritime routes connecting Asia with Europe and the Middle East. For Beijing, protecting these trade routes is essential. China's global economic ambitions depend on stable access to international shipping networks. As Somaliland's strategic relevance increases, Chinese policymakers are carefully monitoring developments. Beijing understands that influence in the Horn of Africa could affect trade, security, and diplomatic relationships for decades to come. This explains why China continues to engage actively across the region. The most important question is not whether China or Turkey gains influence. The real question is what Somaliland does with its growing strategic importance. History shows that geography creates opportunities. Countries positioned along major trade routes often become centers of investment, diplomacy, and economic growth. Somaliland now faces a unique moment. Increasing international attention could bring infrastructure development, trade expansion, foreign investment, and greater diplomatic engagement. At the same time, competition among external powers creates challenges. Somaliland's leaders will need to balance relationships carefully while protecting national interests. The future may depend on Somaliland's ability to transform strategic location into economic prosperity. If managed successfully, Somaliland could emerge as one of the Horn of Africa's most important commercial hubs. The competition involving China, Turkey, and Somaliland is ultimately about more than diplomacy. It is about geography. It is about trade. It is about influence. And it is about the future balance of power in one of the world's most strategic regions. As global attention increasingly focuses on the Horn of Africa, Somaliland's role is becoming harder to ignore. The decisions made in the coming years could shape regional politics and economic development for decades. Will Somaliland be